Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show, Week 7, with your host Andrew and my co-host Adam, brought to you by freebets.com, the very best free bets offers, brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. Adam, what have you got going on at Free Bets?
I've had loads going on this week. You had a bet builder for last night, which lost. So congratulations there. There was there's a bet builder
to let you down in that.
Yes, and the Steelers just in general.
I just had receptions and players, and Metcalf. I think he only had three receptions, and I thought he was going to have a bit of a big game. So
yeah, I was surprised, and I thought that I also thought that the Steelers would win, and that was obviously careless of me. So yeah, that was there. There's a bet builder for the London game coming up on Sunday between the Rams and the Jags that you and I will be going to, and some others. So there's going to be that. There's the accumulator for the NFL. There's some football articles that are over there as well. So go check them out that I've done. Yeah, there's loads of stuff. Lots of things. There's not really any big sporting events at the moment, is there? It's all tends to be a bit quieter at the moment. So there's not anything in a specific sport that's a bit out there. But yeah, plenty of stuff. And go over there, check them out. And lots of information about all the best free bets that you can get for different betting websites as well.
I will give a little shout out to one of my friends colleagues that I work with, who last night, when I left work, he said he listens to the show, so I know this. He said,
"Oh dear,
what do you think of these bets?" And he showed me them. He wanted my advice, and he's got an accumulator in which he had the Bengals, whatever their spread. He took the plus on them, and I was like,
yeah, plus 5.5, weren't they? I think.
I was like, not sure about that, and he was like, I was right about the Falcons and the Bears. So
hang on a minute. So he asked for your advice. You gave it to him, and then he went, "Nah, he's an idiot. I'm sure it's going to come in."
No, and then he proceeded to tell me, "Oh, I saw something really good. All 3 tight ends to score touchdown for the Steelers." So I was like, I said, well, it is Metcalf and those 3. So, it's got a shout. And as I was watching the game, I was like, why didn't I have some on it? Why? Because the odds would have been ridiculous on it. So, yeah, fair play to guess what? His name's Adam.
Oh, well, it all makes sense now. They would just, we just win. What can I say? We just win.
You just love gambling. That's what it is.
Yeah, that might be more what it is.
Yeah. Well, we also have had a game already last night, which we just spoke about, and it finished 33-31 to the Cincinnati Bengals in what people have dubbed many different things, but Senior Bowl is one I quite like, with the 2 40-year-olds taking on each other. Joe Flacco out-dueling Aaron Rodgers. 47 passes, 31 completions, 342 yards and 3 touchdowns for Joe Flacco. There was a GM that called this. Mike Tomlin said before the game that he didn't like the fact that Flacco had been traded to the Bengals. So thoughts on the game?
A bit mental, really, wasn't it? Like, I wasn't expecting it at all. I think most people probably thought that this would be a Steelers win that would be pretty boring, to be honest, and not a great deal happen. I mean, so far this season, the Steelers have looked like a team that can win, but not by much in most games, and the Bengals have looked pretty poor ever since Joe Burrow's been out. So I suppose we kind of had I wouldn't say a little bit of a clue that it was going to happen, because when the Bengals played the Packers, I felt in the second half that Flacco did look a little bit better. And it felt like it was starting to happen. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers defense just sort of fell apart, which I kind of felt like they were getting better. It felt to me that they had been getting better over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, a bit of a surprise in that respect. But it's always nice when you got Jamar Chase on your fantasy team, isn't it? I suppose.
Oh, I was literally going to say, fantasy owners of Jamar Chase are going to be ecstatic because he's now playing like a video game. 16 receptions, 161 yards and a touchdown.
I have to say though, just this is just a real basic thing. Just mark him out of the game. Surely you reach a point, don't you?
Yeah, but
like the 12th reception, maybe that was just to, you're starting to think, he's pretty good about now. Maybe we should really stop it and just try and literally get the other players to beat you. Do you not just take the best player away?
It's not as if T. Higgins had a bad game.
No, absolutely, I get that because but he only had 6 receptions, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as much. I just sort of think to myself, surely, when you're reaching that point, and he is just constantly targeting Chase. I mean, he had 23 targets, which is insane. So the idea that you are just constantly targeting this one guy, take the guy out, as in like, don't let him double mark him, all the time.
This isn't a new thing that that Joe Flacco is exposed to the world, that Jamar Chase.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. We all know Chase is good.
Season on season, they just peppered the Jamar Chase with the ball. So maybe he's just that good, and if you put double cover him or whatever, you still just can't mark him.
But I didn't feel like they did. From the highlights that I saw, it felt like Ramsey was on him quite a bit, and that was it. And you just sort of think, yeah, maybe he needs a bit of help.
Yeah.
just do something. Just take him out of the game. Just stop him from getting the ball all the time. And then, okay, yeah, if they still beat you through T. Higgins and the rest, then fine. But it's just a little bit like, you got to do something, haven't you? You can't just. That's an insane stat line.
Yeah, ridiculous. Well, last week, Adam, I felt I was really unlucky with the early treble again. Missed it by 1. It was Michael Pittman that let me down. Guy's been in the end zone most weeks.
And pretty much every other Colts sort of offensive skill player got in. So
yeah. So a bit gutted that one didn't come in. Thought was on for a winner there, but hopefully I can go one better this week. I feel like I said that last week, so hopefully we can go one better. So let's just take a look at the FTAG5, see what we've got. So first up, Adam, I have gone with, let's just get them up on there. They are on the screen. I have gone, it's gone the other way. I have gone with the New England Patriots. I got them at -7 going against the Tennessee Titans. I know the Titans, some people might think they might do well in this game because they'll have that interim coach sort of mentality that always has a bounce back and always does well, and there's a bit of hype about them. But I feel like the Patriots are on a bit of a surge at the minute, and Drake May's finally found his way. I know the running backs like to put the ball on the floor, but like the way this Patriots team are playing, the Bills losing also gives them a bit more momentum to push, to maybe think, do you know what, we can push for this division. And the Titans, despite the fact there's an interim coach, I don't think they're very good. As I said, I think they've been a bit unwatchable for me, and haven't been able to move the ball or do much against anyone. So Patriots for the win. It's I got it with a touchdown. So I was happy to take a touchdown on this.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought was I was quite happy with the -7 on this one. Like you say, I just think the Patriots are a better team than what the Titans are at the moment. So in that respect, it's like, it just feels like an obvious one. I did have a look earlier. Apparently, they're expecting bad weather in this game, so it does feel like it could be a bit of a run-heavy game. I think for me that if you look at it in that respect, when it comes to certainly giving up rushing yards, the Titans are sort of in the bottom third of the league, and the Patriots are fourth, I think. So they're very good against the run. So I feel like that they would be able to slow down the Titans from being able to do anything in the run. If it does become a problem with the weather, then obviously that's not going to be great for passing. So it feels like it could be a bit of a low scoring affair, but the Patriots, I think, will probably just have too much for them here. Yeah, there is normally a bit of a bounce back when your head coach has been fired and you've brought in, is it Mike McCoy has come in? Yeah. He's come in, he was like a special advisor there, but he was the head coach, wasn't he, quite a long time ago there. So he's going to be there for this game. And yeah, there might be a bit of a bounce back, but I just don't envisage it's going to be enough in order to really cause problems here. I think that Drake May at the moment, I mean, it's funny, a lot of people obviously are talking about Baker Mayfield as MVP. I think Drake May is not far off of it, to be honest. I think he's had a very good start. I mean, it's not at the same level as what Mayfield has done. I think that's fair to say, but it's for someone who is only in his second season. I think it's quite impressive what he's been able to do, and I suppose you could argue that it's mainly because he's playing against poorer teams, but I think that he's looking very good. They've got lots of offensive weapons. Yes, Ramondre Stevenson likes to chuck the ball on the floor, which is really annoying. But I just think they're better in this one. And so minus 7.5 is a little bit like not keen. But -7, I think that was fine for what you got it for. And I think they win it pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think they need to get Tom Coughlin in to teach him how not to drop the ball. It helped with Tiki Barber.
Would be useful, yeah.
Yeah. Was it week 3 on the betting show that I brought up that I really liked Baker Mayfield for MVP, and it was at 20-1.
It was.
So hopefully people listened, and hopefully people lumped on it at 20-1, because I think he's into 6s or 7-1, something like that now. So
yeah, he's definitely shortened quite a bit, and it kind of feels a little bit like, unless the team completely goes off the boil, it's going to be tough for anyone to really take that away from him now. I feel it's like, I mean, Lamar obviously has had his injury problems, but it feels like that team is going to struggle defensively for a while still. So he's not going to win the games that it needs to. The Bills are obviously going for a bit of a sticky patch at the moment, but you know, they obviously could come good. So you could expect Josh Allen to be there, and obviously you've got Mahomes. I mean, it does feel like that's one. He's one who definitely is in with a shout. But you got a Bucks team at the moment that if they can keep that going, then you know they're 5-1. They're the top team in the NFC.
Yeah, he's ticking all the boxes for me for MVP as well. I know for every time we discuss this at the end of the year, I bring out a different name to you guys. I think mainly you, because you follow the odds and you're like, Mo, it's Lamar Jackson for X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, he's not really been MVP. I remember the year that he won it, I was like, the defense is the MVP, and he's just had a really good year. But I feel like Baker's actually playing MVP. You know, all of his wide receivers at some point have been injured, and he's doing it with the backups and still making game-winning drives and winning games and putting up the stats. So he's ticking the boxes of winning games, putting the team on his back and winning it with all the reserves, and got the stats. So yeah, I like the way it's going for him. So
I would suggest, if you want to back it now, because if they beat the Lions away, then I think you're going to see that come in quite quickly.
The next game I have gone for is the Philadelphia Eagles at -1.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. I can't see the Eagles being anywhere near as bad as what they were last week against the Giants. I know they've got injuries in the secondary. I know they've got a couple of injuries on the D-line, but the thing that we've always said about this Eagles team is it's got a lot of depth. So it's now time for them to use that depth and get the value out of it. And there's only so many professional analysts and podcasts and everybody else can say that there's something wrong with this offense and there's something wrong with them not running the ball, that they eventually listen and go, let's do something different about it. We saw the success that the Steelers had against the Vikings when they ran the ball. So when you've got Saquon Barkley, they've also got AJ Dillon, Tank Bigsby as well. So start running the ball, please, and don't veer away from it. I can't see the Eagles losing against the Vikings. I still don't rate the Vikings currently under Carson Wentz, and I really don't rate it under JJ McCarthy, who's apparently getting sort of back to fitness. So if you're giving me 1.5, I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, I really like this. I actually included it in one of my articles that I think that the Eagles have got a really good chance of winning this game, because the Vikings defense is solid. It's a good defense, but the problem is the offense just, it's not doing enough. I mean, I went to the Vikings Browns game that was over here a couple of weeks ago, and it just wasn't. It was basically, let's try and get it to Justin Jefferson as much as humanly possible, was basically what the offense was. And there was a few, obviously, like Addison got a touchdown in that game, and there was a few times that you saw Hockenson get involved, but it just kind of felt like there wasn't much else to it. And Carson Wentz has got limitations, and that's the reason that he's a backup. And as you say, JJ McCarthy did not look great before he got injured. So I don't really think that much is going to happen when it comes to them. Yes, they're at home, but they're going up against the Eagles are still a very good team. Just because they've lost the game, they're still a really good team. And like you say, it does kind of feel like there needs to be a bit more of a realization, probably from the OC. Is it Kevin Patullo? I think his name is the OC, who he got promoted. And it's funny because this is what happened last time that they promoted from within, when they lost Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. They promoted both of them from within, and it didn't work, and they didn't get to the Super Bowl the next year, and it was a bit of a struggle. And then they went in and got Kellen Moore. And I think that they need to. It's almost like, yeah, that worked, but now I'm in charge. And it's almost like he wants to do it a slightly different way because this is how he wants to do it. It's just not really working. And it kind of feels like that the fans are getting on their back already, because we all know that Eagles fans love to get on the team's back whenever they can. And it kind of just feels a little bit like they need to revert back. And I can't remember if it was the Giants game or if it was the game before, but Barkley had like 9 rushing attempts. And that's crazy for, the guy who essentially should have been the MVP last year. And that whole offense goes through him. That's what they need to do. They need to get it back to a point where Barkley's sort of having 18, 20 rush attempts. And I think that if you do that, you'll end up wearing out the defense and you'll end up winning. So they need to change that. I don't know if they will. I actually don't think they will. He seems very adamant that he wants to do it in a slightly different way, which is relying more on Jalen Hurts to pass the ball. And so we'll see what happens. But despite all of that, I still think they're better than the Vikings. And it's -1.5. It's basically like a money line bet. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Why do you think? I don't think necessarily it needs to be all Saquon.
But it wasn't it?
Yeah, but let's get back to the run. Let's use him. Let's use him lots. Yeah. Let's not knacker him, because you'll need him for the rest of the year. But they've got some nice backs as well. So, and you got to remember, Nick Sirianni's not. He's still the same person that's been there all through this. Why is he not going into meetings and going, this is what worked when we had Shane Steichen. This is what worked when we had Kellen Moore. Can we look at doing something similar? He's an offensive guy. He called the plays before. I know he wasn't great at it, and he took the play calling off of himself and gave it to someone else. But he should know as a head coach that what worked and what that was. It's not as if he's Bill Belichick that goes, I don't deal with offense at all, so don't even bother talking to me. He should understand and have a grasp of what Kellen Moore was doing and go, can we do this, please?
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, so against the Broncos, he had 6 rushing attempts. Against the Giants, he had 12 rushing attempts. If you look into 2024, the year before, and you actually look, especially if you look at the back end of the season, which is when he really sort of kicked on and had some really big games, you've got like 26, 26, 23, 20, 19, 29, 31 against Dallas in the last week they played. I mean, this is the problem. And these are, they won so many games last year. And it was largely due to that. And yeah, you could argue that, he doesn't need to, it doesn't need to be Barkley, but I think it showed that it worked. And now you've got at the moment, so Saquon Barkley's the 15th ranked running back in the league currently. And it just feels a little bit like, why have you gone away from it? It just feels a bit odd.
Yeah, definitely. The next game I've gone for, they are going to give me 1.5 for the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I thought the Dallas Cowboys was a decent bet last week against the Panthers with a -3, I think, and they ended up losing. And you're giving me -1.5 on the Commanders, who I think are a lot better than the Panthers. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to be able to put up a lot of points against them. And it might be a bit of a shootout, but I'm taking the Commanders defense over the Cowboys defense, which hasn't got Diggs anymore either, has it? I just checked that. Yeah,
does that make a difference?
The line has not moved. I've just checked it. So, short. Do you think this is way too short on the Commanders at 1.5?
So it's funny because I kind of get where you're coming from, but I've actually tipped up the Cowboys to win. Now, I put this was part of the ACCA and the free bets article that I've done, and I've tipped up the Cowboys to win. Now, I did. The first sentence did say you do have to be a bit crazy to put the Cowboys in an ACCA. Okay, so I do admit that, but so far all their games at home they've won. Apart from the Packers one where it was the tie, but they've looked. The point is they've looked good, sort of thing, offensively. They've looked pretty decent offensively all round. I think with the Commanders, my concern for them is that although I think Jaden Daniels is good, I think a lot of it is going to be to Zach Ertz. I just don't. Terry McLaurin's out again. Debo, yes, he's been involved and he's looked all right, but he just doesn't look like the same Debo that was at the 49ers. And so I can kind of understand why this is sort of a bit of a 50-50, which is, it's a -1.5 or +1.5 with the Commander. So it's kind of like a 50-50 bet. I think this could go anyway. This is going to be a shootout because I think that the Cowboys don't have any other way of playing. It has to be a shootout. So because of that, I don't know. I just don't know which way it's going to go, and that's the problem. I will go on the side of the Cowboys purely because they're at home. I think Dak is playing really well. I think the crowd will help them, and I think this could be the highest scoring game of the week by a mile.
Yeah, I just think the Commanders' defense is better than the Cowboys.
Better than the Panthers. I agree with you about that. They're better than the Cowboys as well. I think with CD Lamb back as well, it's difficult to go against it. I know. I mean, obviously, you've got to think Pickens won't be used as much as what he has been because of CD Lamb being back.
He was still in the end zone when Lamb was fit. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's still a touchdown scorer. He's still someone to look at, and if anything, could be one to actually look at seriously this week, because in theory the odds should go up.
Yep, they have.
So I'm not against it at all. I just think that what you've got here is you've got a Cowboys team who offensively are very, very good. You've got a Commanders team who are just not quite the same as what they were last year at the moment. They're just not quite firing how they used to be. And so I think that's probably why they've given the Cowboys favourite. Like I say, I would go for the money line on it. I think just keep it as a simple bet rather than the minus for the Cowboys. But yeah, I get why. I can understand your argument.
Next game up, you'll be avoiding this because you don't like putting them in your any bet that you've gone. But
so this is later, I take it.
Sorry?
Is this a later game? Is this on Tuesday night for us?
No, this is on at 9:30 on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying you don't like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I understand your point now. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. I've got them under a touchdown at 6.5 against an Arizona Cardinals team that, it looked better with Jacoby Brissett instead of Kyler Murray, but it's still the Arizona Cardinals, and the Green Bay Packers are still the Green Bay Packers. Great defense, great offense. It's not clicked every single week, but I'm confident that the Packers are a very, very good team and strong contenders for the playoffs. And I don't think the Cardinals are very good at all. They've got a plethora of injuries across the board. They've got injuries at wide receiver, at running back, at quarterback. The defense isn't incredible. I like the Packers. So if you're giving me under a touchdown, I'm taking the Packers all day long here. Adam, surely when you're taking your Packers hat off and you're putting your betting cap on, this is a good bet.
Yeah, I think it is. I do agree with you in that respect. As previously stated, it's the Packers, so I would avoid like the plague. But yeah, it's you are right in what you're saying, and the fact is like it's kind of. I don't know how other Packers fans feel. It's kind of felt a little underwhelming so far this season. And it's a weird thing to come out and say because obviously we're in a pretty decent position, but it kind of feels like the offense hasn't really done that much and hasn't really really got going. 27 seems to be a very popular number that the Packers like. They've won 3 games with 27 points, and actually I kind of think that the same is going to happen here. I think you're going to be looking at a similar thing. The Cardinals. It's just all kind of falling apart, isn't it? Really, it's what's happened. They went 2-0. They're now 2-4. The loss to the Titans, I think, is a massive blow for them, and just sort of like has really caused so many issues in that organization. I actually think they're going to look a little bit better because of Jacoby Brissett. I felt like they looked a bit better last week with him than what they have done with Kyler Murray. And when we did the chat show on Monday night, we were sort of talking about the Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon and whether he's on the hot seat or not. It does kind of feel like they need a whole big reset there. It's like there is some real issues there, and that's coach, that's quarterback, that's, I mean, the way they're using Marvin Harrison is shocking. It really is.
Well, we were talking about this earlier today, weren't we? We were talking about the Ohio State wide receivers, weren't we? And
yeah.
Egbuka looks like he's one of the next elite receivers. JSN already is an elite receiver now. I think Olave, look at what he's on the Saints. Look at what he's producing now. He's not concussed. And I think Garrett Wilson, for the most part of the season up to the injury, he's been a top 5 receiver in terms of fantasy. I know that. So this guy was supposed to be better than all of them, and I think it's just organization that's letting him down.
Yeah, it's really weird, and it's just like, you've got this great wide receiver, or who was great in college, and he's just not being used, and it's such a peculiar thing. So yeah, I don't quite know what's going to end up happening there, but I think there will be changes, and I I would expect the Packers to win this. And the fact that it's within a touchdown, I agree. -6.5 is fine. So yeah, I'll take that.
And the last game, yeah, you kind of touched on it before I brought the Packers up.
Is this the one I don't like because you've done it on Monday night?
Yeah, not only Monday night, but like, why do they keep doing this? I've been listening I listen to podcasts as well. The Americans don't like the late game. It's very odd because apparently,
Well, what time is it? If it's 3 in the morning over here, so that's 10.
10 o'clock. They said it's 10 o'clock at night, aren't they? It's kicking off for.
That's in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So this is at the Seahawks. So obviously you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So it'd be what, 7?
Yeah, I think you're getting.
So so the kickoff time's all right for the people
it's
that
fine
are
for
there.
The players. It's fine for the players. But as a global audience, well, not a global audience, as a national audience,
it's not great.
East Coast are saying,
10 o'clock kickoff on the East Coast is quite late.
Yeah, on the day that it's on, that's a very late night for them, and obviously it's a ridiculous night for us. And as we've said, it really dumbs down the late slate of games on the Sunday, doesn't it?
Yes, very much, which is incredibly irritating for us because we do touchdown scorers for the late game. But even still, it does kind of make the whole. I think we've seen this, haven't we? Kind of happened before, and it's sort of. I think in an ideal world, if they could, what they would do is they'd literally have one individual game for every slot. And the idea is that you can bet on every single individual game rather than, I don't think they like the idea of the sort of like accumulators and having all the games at once. I think that's what they would love.
I think they like the advertising and the revenue from that. I think that, standalone games and advertising you can put in them over Red Zone is obviously going to be a hell of a lot more money for them. So I think that's probably the reason why. But anyway, I have taken, yet again, I've had to be forced into taking one of the later fixtures in the week and taking the Seattle Seahawks at home against the Texans, -3. Seahawks for me look like one of the most well-rounded teams in football at the moment. I think their defense is good. I think the offense is good. I think the coaching's good. I think the quarterback play is good. I think the O-line's doing a good job. There's only one issue I've got with them. Their best running back, Ken Walker, is the most efficient. They're deciding, we won't use our most efficient running back. We'll just bring Charbonnet in to match the amount of snaps and use him as much. That's the only thing that frustrates me about them. But I think they've got a really good chance at winning their division. I think that from what I've seen so far through these first few weeks, they probably look like the strongest of the Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers, to be fair, of what I'm seeing on the field. So Seahawks, I really like going against a Texans team that feels like they know where they are and they're kind of happy that it's going to be a good season, not a great season, and maybe the future is where they need to look. So I'm not sure they feel they're in contention with winning the Super Bowl this year. So been a bit up and down for them. They have looked good in games. They've looked bad in games. Seahawks haven't. So I'm taking the -3 with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are the better team. I actually, do you know what? I can see this being similar to the Seahawks-Jags game from last week, as sort of like 2012. I think it'd be quite tight or low scoring, not tight. I think it'd be low scoring. But yeah, I think the Seahawks just play really good complementary football. And they've literally got all three aspects of their team playing well. The Texans defensively are a very good team, but the offense is a bit nothingy. I know that it did really, really well against the Ravens last time they played.
Everyone does well against the Ravens.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe that might kickstart them a little bit. You never know. But it is one of them things where against this Ravens defense, everyone's doing pretty well at the moment. So it doesn't necessarily mean too much. So yeah, I think that the Seahawks just generally are a very good team who are doing really well. -3.5 doesn't really bother me that much. I don't think you'll win it by much. I think it will be quite a reasonably tight and low scoring game, but I think you'll get enough there in order to get that win. And Seahawks are a bit of a dark horse, I think, this year.
Isn't that what I called them in the preview show?
Yeah, they are. I think after these first sort of like 6 weeks, you've seen them, you've seen what they can do, and they do. They're a bit of a funny team because there isn't. It's weird because JSN, I wouldn't. He probably is better than what I think we all give him credit for. He does. I think it's because he's not necessarily a touchdown machine, so we don't look at him in the same way as other receivers. But he definitely seems to have been able to push on, and that seems to be working for them. So
He's a
it's
clear
not.
wide receiver one, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think people think of him like that. Like I don't know what. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about him. He's just not.
It's because he's not one of those big
Yeah,
alpha
he's not the big alpha, is he?
receivers. Yeah, he's a
No,
bit smaller. He works hard at his game rather than relies on physical traits, and I think that's maybe why people are like, oh, but Amon-Ra St. Brown,
I was going to say he's the one that he kind of reminds me a little bit of, and
JSN,
that
now Egbuka, they're really clean, good
yeah,
players that in college probably played second fiddle on their teams, and
yeah,
maybe that's why. But they're elite. They're great route runners, and they can catch the ball. So that's
yeah,
why you want from your receivers. So
yeah,
odd people aren't seeing that. I've just had a quick look. Obviously, I use Bet365 for picking mine. You can still get them at -3 on there, and you can still get the Patriots at -7 as well. So shop around for your odds. We use 888 on the screen because it works on the screen, and Bet365 doesn't. So you can still get them at -3 and -7. So if you don't want to take that half, which I probably wouldn't, then have a little look around. Avoid. You don't like the Cowboys game. You want to take that. Oh, that's not avoid. What are you replacing with? What did I miss? What did I miss? You want to take out the Cowboys game. You don't like the look of that one. You think it's a money line game. It's 50-50. What are you bringing in instead? What did I miss?
I quite like the 49ers at -1.5. I know that Fred Warner's gone down, and that's a big loss for them. But I'm not sold on the Falcons yet. I think they had a good performance last week, but that doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to be this amazing team that's going to beat everyone. So I do quite like the look of the 49ers, especially as it's only 1.5. I think that's one that you should people should be looking at. What else is there? I'm sure there was another one that I quite like the look of. I like the Jags. I know it's early. I'm not a fan of doing the early game.
I didn't put that in because if that doesn't come in, then everything else is
You're
done.
dumb. I agree. I'm not a fan of that, but I do like the Jags, which for some reason seems to be showing us +3.5 now, which I'm very confused about.
+3 on mine.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I like them at +3. I think that's a decent bet that you could go for. There wasn't really anyone else. I mean, I was a little confused by the Dolphins Browns one, that the Dolphins are +2.5. But it is meant to be a bit of a rough weather game, isn't it? That one. So that
wins in this game, yeah. So I think it's whoever's got the best defense and best run game. So I think it's a big game.
Yeah, so I do wonder if that's why. But yeah, the 49ers was the one that I kind of really went, I kind of wouldn't mind that one at -1.5.
Yeah, the one I was 50-50 with that I liked was the Bears at -4.5. Saints.
Yeah, I mean the Saints are a bit of a difficult one to judge.
As we said on the chat show, they put 110% into every game, which I think makes it dangerous. I just feel like the Bears have had some really good results lately against some good teams.
They have, they have had some good results, but I don't know. I get the feeling that they always stick around, don't they? The Saints. They're that team that they never win, but they're always just there and like threatening to win. And you just sort of wonder, because what did you say it was? -4.5.
Yeah.
So it's not like a crazy amount, but you just kind of get that feeling. You could just imagine them doing something to get you at the end.
It's still the Bears. Yeah. It's
still
the
Bears. Bears. Yeah, they'll still give up points. So,
yeah. So what's your ACC avoid this week? I know what your ACC avoid is, and it's my ACC avoid as well. And I know a few people that have actually taken what I think is +7. So I'll let you take it away.
Yes, my ACC avoid, which on mine is saying +7.5, which I'm even more excited about. I'm going to avoid the Denver Broncos in this one. Now, I haven't done this just to be nice to you, because I know you're a Giants fan, and it's been a rough few years for him. So, and he's getting a little excited. Bless him.
I had hair, didn't I? When
yeah. Well, there you go. That says a lot, doesn't it? So, but I was kind of looking at it, and I just sort of thought 7.5 feels like quite a lot for this game. A game where the over/under is projected at 40.5, and I do think it will be quite a tight game. We saw the Broncos last week when they came over to London against the Jets in what can only be described as one of the most dour games that I've actually watched on TV for a long time, in that 13-11 exciting affair. And I sort of thought to myself, well, if you throw all the travelling into that as well, and the fact that the offense clearly wasn't firing very well, the defense
didn't look good either.
No, Bo Nix really didn't look good. And actually, to be honest, I was a bit surprised at how quickly they took the ball out of Bo Nix's hands and sort of just relied on the run quite a lot. It very much became a defensive game, and it was about basically can the Broncos, or it was kind of almost like, can the Broncos defense cause enough trouble for the Jets in order to win, which they did, and that was kind of how they relied in order to win the game. And yeah, so I just sort of felt that they're not great. You know, they've won games. They look better. The record looks better than what they are.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a bit of a worry. Then when you throw in the fact that they're playing against the Giants, and the Giants obviously had a really poor start, but ever since Jackson Dart's been there, and to a certain extent Cam Scatterbu's been like the number one running back as well. Ever since that's happened, there has been a big uptick in sort of performance from the offense. They've looked a lot better, and in turn, that's made the defense look better as well, because they're getting off the field a bit quicker. So I think if you throw all that into it, I think this is going to be a tight game. I don't think the Giants are going to win. I think the Broncos will win it, but I just don't have confidence in the fact that the Broncos are going to absolutely smash them and win by like 10 points here. So because of that,
that's what you're looking at. If it's +7.5, you're looking at it being 10, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not seeing it. So I think because of that, I will take the +7.5, and I will avoid the Broncos.
Yeah, anybody who watches them, and I've been saying this all year, the Giants' defense for 3 quarters has looked really good and kept the Giants in all those first 3 games. They were kept in it by the defense, and then because the offense couldn't get the ball moving at all, the defense just got knackered, and then back into the 3rd, 4th quarter, they were just shattered, and that's when they gave up the points. So now that Jackson Dart's in and Cam Scatterbu's in, and they've got a run game going, and they're moving the chains, the defense looks great. Brian Burns looks incredible. You know, I'm sure he's got to be the lead sack. He's got 7, 8 sacks, something like that. So, yeah, Defense is good. The Broncos offense made the Jets defense look great when they've been bad all year. So Giants defense can replicate the same thing. So I think it might be a close game. I think we might be in this game towards the end. So I agree with your logic there. I do think the Broncos are the better team. I do think their defense might overwhelm Jackson Dart a bit because they are so much better than what he's faced so far, because that Eagles defense wasn't the actual full plethora of Eagles. Jalen Carter not on the field as well. So, it might be a different affair against this Broncos defense. But there's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of adrenaline and everything like that going to be going through these young lads. And I think they might keep themselves around in the game. So, like that one. Right, touchdown scorers. I went first last week. I'll let you go first, Adam.
You can let me go first. That's nice of you.
I can go first if you want.
Right, I am going to go for. So in the Patriots-Titans game, I've gone for Kayshon Boutte at 23-10.
Mm-hmm.
He just seems to. He's a weird one, isn't he? He seems to get in the end zone, or he just doesn't do anything. I
think it's game plan. He's good enough, isn't he? He looks when they target him.
He does look like
it works.
He does look like yeah. He does look like he's good enough. Going up against Titans defense that isn't great. Can't imagine they're suddenly going to become amazing overnight now that the head coach has gone. So I think that Drake May's playing really well, and so I'm more than happy to go for him for Boutte at 23-10. I was actually quite tempted to look at going for Drake May at 11-4. There's quite there is a bit of a one of your quarterback sneak trebles that's in this one, but I went for Boutte at 23-10. Then I went for Worthy at the Kansas City Chiefs 9-5. I know that Rashee Rice is back. Obviously, I feel that like there's going to be a limit to how much he plays because it's his first game back in so long.
Everything that's pointed towards and things they're saying is they're going to get him heavily involved.
Really, I just find that I find that strange. I suppose. Yes, he's back. He had a bad injury and missed a lot last year, and then he hasn't really been able to get going at all because of the suspension. So it just feels a little bit like I think Worthy.
Worthy's good regardless, isn't it?
Worthy's going to be good with Rice out there anyway, and I think that it's going to create more space for Worthy as well. So I quite liked him at 9-5. That's kind of a little bit like the George Pickens logic.
Mm-hmm.
Where with Lamb, so I quite like Worthy at 9-5, and then my final one I went Dallas Goedert at 12-5. It's a ridiculous amount of touchdowns this bloke is getting, and he's just so involved, and it feels like the run game is not being used as much. So what they're doing is they're trying to get Jalen Hurts to pass the ball more. He doesn't seem very keen to pass it to AJ Brown much, or Devonta Smith that much, really. So it seems to predominantly be going to Goddard. He's 12-5, which I thought was a huge price for someone. I think he's had 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks, something like that. So we're going to stick with him, stay on that. So that comes out as 30.42 to 1.
Yeah, good odds on that. I think Jalen Hurts has missed AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on the deep balls. He's overthrown them twice. So maybe just these short throws to Goddard's where is his wheelhouse. When you said Kayshon Boutte with your first one, I thought, oh, here we go. We've got the same treble on the early one again. I swapped and changed out quite a lot of mine through this bet because I couldn't get the odds any higher than sort of 12, 14 to 1. And I was a little bit like, it's just not quite enough for me for what I want to put out on the show. But I've managed to get a 22 to 1, and it's got Kayshon Boutte is in it. I think he's helped it out. So I've gone for Boutte 23 to 10, as you said, all the same reasons. I've then gone Roma Dunze against the Saints at 21 to 10. And then I've put in.
No, he can't be 21 to 10.
All right.
I'm not having that. Have a word. Roma Dunze, 5-6 anytime.
Well, I got him at 21. Well, no, what? Not quite that good. Sorry, 21-20. Sorry, that's me reading things
Ah,
wrong.
there you
Me
go.
reading
That's more
the
like
screen wrong.
it.
Anyway,
Don't
and
do that.
yeah, sorry,
Trying to
I've got
give
you
me a
all
heart attack,
excited. You're like,
mate.
wait, I'm
Christ
putting the watch
almighty.
on. And then finally, I've got the inform touchdown scorer at the minute, Darren Waller at 12-5. 22-1, Adam.
Yeah, that's not bad actually. Do you know what the thing? Because Waller is one that I've written down, and then I saw the weather, and I was a bit like, I don't
I think
know.
tight ends are still good when the weather's
They
bad.
should
And
be all right, shouldn't they?
yeah,
Yeah, I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if Tua's going to be able to get the ball far enough in order for him to be in the end zone. But yeah, I think yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, Adunze obviously is a good shout. Booty, as we both said, and yeah, Waller. I mean, has he had a touchdown all 3 weeks he's been back?
yeah, and two
Yeah,
in one game, and then one, yeah, each in the other.
yeah,
So.
I think he'll be good for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, my late ones that I've done something a little bit different, just because I was sort of struggling a bit, to be honest. I wasn't that keen, and obviously you know that I dislike backing anything Green Bay. So I've gone for Tyler Warren for the Indianapolis Colts against the Chargers at 7-5, and I've gone for Lad McConkey for the Chargers against the Colts at 27-20. I actually think this could be a relatively high scoring game on this one. The Colts defense has been all right. It's been decent, but I wouldn't say it's amazing. The Chargers defense has got a couple of injuries on it and has, just gave up 27 points to the Dolphins, which is a little bit of a concern. So I think it could be a high scoring one. Tyler Warren just has been great since he's come in, and it kind of feels like he's just getting loads of targets from Daniel Jones. McConkey, it feels like it's moved now, hasn't it? It's gone away from Keenan Allen and it's gone over to Lad McConkey. And I think you need to make sure that you do that and follow that, because McConkey has had a couple of touchdowns now in a couple of weeks and is just generally looking back to how he was last year. And then my third one, just purely because you got to have, if the Dallas Cowboys defense is there, you've got to have someone on the opposition team. Zach Ertz at 19-10. As soon as Jaden Daniels was back in that team, Zach Ertz was getting the ball all the time, and it's going to carry on. So 19-10, quite like that. Quite a lot shorter than the early one, 15.36-1. But I quite liked it. I think they've got a good chance of coming in them three.
There was loads I liked in the evening games. I also.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Well, obviously, I only had 3 games because I refused to do the Packers Cardinals one. But even still, there was 3 in that. But there's quite a few, like you say, there are quite a few in these late ones. I was just a little concerned about the fact that I didn't want to do the Packers. The Giants Broncos, I think, could be quite a tight game and quite not mega low scoring, but reasonably low scoring. I'd already got the 2 in the Colts Chargers one and the 1 in the Commanders, but there are others at bigger prices that I thought, do you know what, they're not bad.
Yeah, well, I've also gone Lad McConkey. I've had him the last 2 weeks, and he's served me well for the last 2 weeks. So that's worked quite well. I called the game that he'd get his first touchdown, and it's kicking on from there. So I've also gone for him. I have taken Tucker Kraft because I will bet on the the Packers, and it has served me quite well for the games that I have bet on them. Especially when you bet on Tucker Kraft, it seems like if he's out there touchdown wise, he's always an option. And then finally, I put in Jackson Dart as well. I think that's a great bet. The odds you can get it at 15-4. So I just really love the odds on that. And I think when you saw it last week, he went into the blue tent because he got dinged in the head. Lots of worry about it being in the blue tent, but then the first play back on the field was a design run play up the middle for him. So Brian Daboll's not afraid to rush him. So I don't think there's going to be any panic if they're in that sort of close proximity of the goal line to go, do you know what, let's just give it Jackson Dart again. I know Cam Scatterboo's there as well, but I think he's always going to be an option to break free and ad lib and run one in. So love those odds. It's 25.79 to 1, Adam.
Yeah, nice. I think that they're decent. One thing I would just quickly, one thing I did say, you know, about the quarterbacks, Dart, Daniels, and Jones.
They were the ones I was thinking when you said, "Oh, I'd looked at a quarterback." I had Dart, Daniels, and Jones as mine as well, and I was like, that was one that I put together. And I also really like the tight ends in the evening fixture. I know I just said I liked a lot in the evening fixture. I like Tyler Warren, I like Zach Ertz, I like Jake Ferguson, I like Tucker Kraft. So I really like the tight ends, and they're all decent odds as well. I think bar probably Trey McBride, which I didn't look at because the odds are usually too short on him. But
McBride isn't too bad. I think he was 17 to 10. I had him written down, so he was 17 to 10. He's actually bigger odds than Tucker Kraft, who's 7 to 5, and Ertz was 19 to 10, Ferguson 19 to 10, Warren 7 to 5. I've got them all written down. It did feel very much like tight ends and quarterback.
So lots of good odds, lots of combinations. I think I'll probably have a quarterback treble and a tight end treble on top of these as well. Definitely ones to look at if you want to put some combinations together. Well, they're the bets. That's all we've got time for. Looking forward to the games. As you say, we will be at the Jags-Rams game. If you do see us, then come say hi. We will give you a bet for the day, I'm sure, if you want one.
Bet for the day.
Until then, keep with the franchise tag and see you again.